Holy shnikes. Yes, we are live. Hello, everybody, and good morning and good morning. Welcome to the 11th day of January 2024. Y'all used to saying 2024 yet? Welcome to my beautiful Ash Gregoire Chambly Nissan Rogue. Yes, we've transitioned to the all-wheel drive SUV line for the cold months that make up half our year here in frozen Quebec. On another cold day, my dash reads -1, feels more like -14 in the aftermath of the Montreal Canadiens, my friends, losing that game 3-2 in Philadelphia last night. Hello. Good to see so many familiar names popping up on the stream. I am Sean Starr, who you can hear weekdays on TSN 690. That's right, tsn690.ca, Monday to Friday between 6 and 10 a.m. Connor McKenna and I do I'm going to say it, a great job of breaking down, obviously, all the highlights and lowlights from a Montreal Canadiens season, and, of course, everything else going on in the world of sports, which featured yesterday an amazing 24 hours history in the world of football, from college to the National Football League, with the announcement of Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots mutually agreeing to part ways. Where does the great Bill Belichick go next? He's 15 wins away from breaking Don Shula's all-time career wins list by a head coach. Where does Bill Belichick? Let's talk about that a little bit later on. But first and foremost, it's great to be back. It's great to be here live with you for the first time in 2024. Obviously, if you've been paying attention to this channel, because you have your notifications on, so whenever I post something new, you get notified, so you're the first on it. You don't miss anything. I hope you enjoyed some of the interviews we've done over the last few weeks, in particular with myself and Ray Lalonde, as we broke down the impending news, which ultimately broke with Tiger Woods and Nike Golf deciding to part ways. If you missed it, you can find it on our YouTube page or on Facebook. Just search In the Car with Star on Facebook or on YouTube, and you'll find it there. It's also an opportunity for me to welcome in a brand new sponsor to In the Car with Star, Chiefs Convenience, Highway 132 in Ganawage, another family-owned and operated business, something we're always proud to associate ourselves with. It's why I have partnered with Chambly Nissan, that's owned by the Joya family, who partnered with Ash Gregoire, but first they were Chambly Nissan. It's why I've partnered with Little Bear. LittleBearOnline.com is their website, a family-owned and operated pet store in downtown Montreal or in Westmount, but they do deliver locally and quickly and on budget. And you can find them, as I mentioned, at littlebearonline.com. It's very important for me that not only does, corporate Montreal and family-run businesses trust me with their brand and trust me with sending out the message about why I shop at Little Bear, why I go to Chiefs Convenience, why I drive a Chambly Nissan, because I support these products, and in exchange, they support me. So it's mutual respect across the board. And there have been opportunities, and I'm going to sound like a little bit of a douchebag here, but I have turned down opportunities for a variety of reasons. Either I'm not a fan of the product, it's not something I do, it's not something me or my family use, and that it would be hard for me to sell or for me to pass along a message that I'm comfortable passing along with. Generally, I do this kind of stuff, whether it's In the Car with Star or if you listen to me on the radio. I tend to and try to be, I think it's my default nature, a positive by nature kind of individual. I'm here for a good time. I'm here so that we can have a laugh. We can talk about common interests like sports, like the Montreal Canadiens. So all that to say, I choose my partners carefully, and it's with confidence that I'm able to, relay messages about why I think you should, if you have pets and you care about your pets, why I think Chuck and his wife and his staff at Little Bear, littlebearonline.com, on St. Catherine, in Westmount, across from Alexis Neon Plaza, why I think you should go there, because I go there. All the food, all the toys I get from Little Bear, because they care about my pet. They care about Hank, my dog at home. And, you learn a lot, too, more so than the traditional outlet that, just has a 9-to-5 worker. Chuck, his wife, the staff, they're in there every single day, and they have an education about nutrition, the right toys. Should you feed your dog a raw food diet or not? They're going to be able to answer those questions with credibility, because that's what they do. They're all hands all the time. And it's why I partnered with Chiefs Convenience, another family-owned, the Goodleaf family in Ganawage, owned and operated business. They're on Highway 132 in Ganawage. You want to give them a call. You want to see what's up. You want to see what specials they have. They have daily specials, hot coffee served daily. You can find them at Highway 132 in Ganawage. Give them a call, 450-520-0141, 450-520-0141. It's Chiefs Convenience. They open at 6 in the morning weekdays. They close at 11. On Saturdays, they sleep in a little extra couple hours. They get up at 8. They close the shop at 11. So they're open 7 days a week. So whether you need hot coffee, whether you need certain flavors of vape, whether you love beef jerky, you're not going to believe the selection of flavors of beef jerky they have at Chiefs Convenience. They check all the boxes, whether you want dry pasta, whether you want vanilla flavored beef jerky. If that's your speed, this is a non-judgmental zone. I partner with Chiefs Convenience because I go to Chiefs Convenience, and I think you should too. The Montreal Canadiens in action tonight, taking on the miserable San Jose Sharks. Yes, San Jose rolls to town, losers of a dozen games in a row. San Jose has lost 12 consecutive games, but they've been sitting here laying in wait for the Montreal Canadiens, who are in Philadelphia in a 3-2 final. I don't know what your takeaways were from last night's result, but for me, a little bit of the beginning of some red flags that are starting to surface up. The Canadiens played on Saturday, had a 3-0 lead over a Stanley Cup contending team in the New York Rangers. They blew that 3-0 lead in what was one of the most wildly and entertaining games you're going to watch this season, and they ultimately prevailed thanks in large part to Sam Montembeault's 47-save performance. So the Canadiens had a couple of days off. As a matter of fact, Montreal had 2 full practices ahead of their game on the road in Philadelphia last night, where they decided to give Caden Primo his 3rd career start in his hometown, where he grew up, with his father being Keith Primo. And again, another example of exactly how important goaltending is for this organization. Caden Primo stole a point in Philadelphia yesterday. It was so lopsided. Montreal scored on their first 2 shots on goal, and let's be honest, air quotes shots on goal. I don't think we're talking about whether it was Sean Monahan or Juraj Slafkovsky going to the net, a couple of nifty bounces that go by Sam Arison, and it's 2-0 Montreal on their first 2 shots, but that was it for the rest of the night. The ice was tilted in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers, though credit to Montreal for starting the 3rd period a little bit better, but ultimately it fell on the lap of Caden Primo. Also, Caden Goulis blocked 10 shots. Mike Matheson, 5 shots. David Savard, 5 shots. So 3 guys combined to block 20 pucks. But the problem remains this. Montreal did not have a first line last night. Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, and Juraj Slafkovsky, they didn't have it. They didn't have it yesterday, and that's the problem. And obviously you can point to injuries and the depth being affected as a result of the lack of who's going to pick me up if I'm not playing well tonight, and that's what happened. I mean, Brendan Gallagher at this point of his career can only do so much, driving to the net, trying to create some sort of disturbance to create opportunities to score. But outside of that, there isn't anyone else. Josh Anderson had a breakaway in the 3rd period. Josh Anderson is the new Lars Eller, and I love Josh Anderson. You remember me last year. I'm telling you why I think Josh Anderson should be perhaps considered to be the captain of the Montreal Canadiens. But Josh Anderson is my new Lars Eller. This guy's on a breakaway. He's not going to score. Every time I saw Lars Eller on a breakaway with the Habs, I never thought 81 was going to score. Josh Anderson has found himself in that category for me. And when you're not getting the scoring touches from a Josh Anderson and your first line isn't going, that's how you lose a game last night to a team like Philadelphia, who, by the way, went into it 0 for 25 on the power play against Montreal. And of course they score. Of course they score on the Canadiens on the power play. Philadelphia was operating at under 11% efficiency with the man advantage this season. They had the 2nd to worst, least effective power play in the National Hockey League. Only St. Louis's power play was worse. And of course they score. The dumbest penalty in all of hockey, the stupid puck over the glass, delay a game. Jordan Harris is the culprit. He's in the box, and boom, it's in the back of the net. And the 3rd period plays itself out. 3-on-3 overtime was garbage. And then, Jake Evans, how many times did you see him in overtime yesterday? And then Martin St. Louis goes with murderer's row and shootout attempts. Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, and Jesse Alonen, who was 2 for 4 in shootout attempts before being denied. And the Canadiens, that's how they lose that game, 3-2 in a shootout. So that's kind of tough. And going into San Jose, going against San Jose at the Bell Center tonight. And as I mentioned, Montreal and San Jose, losers of a dozen in a row. The San Jose Sharks, everybody, are you ready for this number? Do you know how many goals San Jose has surrendered over the course of their 12 straight losses? 50. 5-0. San Jose has allowed 50 goals to the 17 that they have scored over that stretch. But not so fast. Not so fast if you believe that this is a gimme putt of a win tonight for Montreal. Playing the second half of a back-to-back has not been flattering for this Montreal Canadiens team. Are you ready? We did the research this morning. In the second half of back-to-back games, the Canadiens this season are not good. Losers, 5-2, 5-2, 4-0, 5-1, 2-1, and then finally, they pick up a 5-2 win in the second half of a back-to-back game. So they were 1 for 5 up until that point. And then the December 30th, was it the California games or the Florida games? I forget. I think that was the Florida swing. Yes, where they lose the first and the second of a back-to-back on the December 30th and 31st, and they lose that game 4-3. So in other words, in the second half of back-to-back games this season, the Canadiens have only won one of their opportunities and have been outscored 27-14. So more or less a 2-to-1 ratio. And look, I'm not here to think that the San Jose Sharks are going to roll in and the Canadiens are going to be victimized and not going to be good. I like the fact that Nick Suzuki, after losing to Philadelphia in that shootout, told it like it was. There was no cliche. The captain didn't pass the buck. Frankly, said that this team wasn't good enough. They had a 2-0 lead. They kind of sat back, didn't execute. He got complacent and ultimately admitted the team's effort wasn't good enough, which can be perhaps a red flag, knowing that they were inactive since Saturday, knowing that the Canadiens had 2 full days of practice, and that's the game that they have on a Wednesday night in Philadelphia. So we shall see what's happening. Oh, God almighty. I think I'm going to get I'm getting booted here. I've decided to park in a no parking zone because it is it's a snow clearing day. So that's where we're at today. And ultimately, I'm going to have to drive with you here, and we're going to get the hell out of here. So let's go. So now we're on the road. I'm probably doing something I shouldn't be doing, and we're driving away, and I'm breaking the law by holding my phone as I drive to our next destination. And let's see if I can find a place to park here. I'm just going to park right over here. Let me zip in here. Let me zip in here. Let me put this bad boy in reverse. I'll put this bad boy in reverse, and then we shall get out of here in a second. And that's how you do it, everybody. So now we're back live. I hope you enjoyed that very much. I parked in a. They're clearing the streets today in some of my spots here, you know. And so as a direct result, that wasn't bad multitasking, eh? Was that okay for multitasking? Now we're trying to get all set back up here again. There we go. Now I'm all parked. Look at that. That's the beauty of an Ash Gregoire Chambord Nissan all-wheel drive Nissan Rogue that I'm driving. I go over snowbanks, go over icebergs. I don't. We're plowing through everything in this all-wheel drive bad boy. Check out my friends at Ash Gregoire Chambord Nissan, ChambordNissan.com. So yeah, to get back to it, I really do. Part of me is believing that there's starting to emerge some red flags, and I think that if the Canadiens go down to San Jose today, I do strongly believe this is the beginning of a free fall for the Montreal Canadiens, as we are now a couple of games away from reaching the official midway point of the NHL season. And knowing that they went into Philadelphia a little bit closer to bottom 5 overall than they were to the wild card, the second spot on the wild card in the East anyway. And as I've been pretty consistent for years, the worst thing to happen is you're not bottom 5 and you're not a wild card, and that you're languishing in between, which is the worst thing, in my opinion, that could ultimately happen. But it was concerning last night that maybe for the first time strongly, I felt that the injuries really affected the Montreal Canadiens and how they attacked the opposition yesterday, because the number one line didn't have a number one line kind of game. And the fact that they hadn't played since Saturday and they had 2 full practices to mentally and physically prepare themselves for that game yesterday was a little bit of a red flag, but we shall see. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they are going to be able to step up and be more than just bothered, more than just simply bothered by how they lost that game, and knowing how poor San Jose is and have been all year, that here's an opportunity to shut the critics up, to step on the throats of the opposition, and not like Toronto. I don't expect the Canadiens to drop a 7-burger on the San Jose Sharks tonight, but like maybe a no sweat kind of game, just to restore some of the belief that things are okay, that Montreal Canadiens have lots to build off of, because I do get the sense that some people are beginning to run out of patience, whether it's some of the tactics like Jake Evans too much in 3-on-3, or whether it's Caden Gooley's level falling off a little bit. Caden Gooley did block 10 pucks though yesterday, but he's given the way of the puck a little bit and doesn't look as sharp to me in the last couple of games. But let's see what happens tonight against the San Jose Sharks. Should be good to go. Shot blocking extraordinaire. And if there's one area I guess it can be critical with, and I'm going to get to your, lots of comments are coming in. I see them in the chat, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to put your comments up on the screen in a second. Boy, oh boy, I picked the wrong spot to park at today, eh? Like, these sidewalk buggies are all over the place. I just had to get moved or else I was going to get towed. Such is life living in Montreal when snow clearing operations with another storm coming in a day or two anyways. But we shall see. We shall see what happens with the Canadiens against San Jose today, and an opportunity, I suppose, to dull the knives of the critics. But one area that I don't necessarily agree with, and I wonder what the plan is. Caden Primo played in Philly and stole a point. Caden Primo was excellent in Philadelphia last night. Sam Montembeault didn't travel. He didn't travel, stayed in Montreal. So Sam Montembeault is going to play in goal tonight against San Jose. And logically, isn't Jake Allen going to start Saturday against Edmonton? And if that's the case, I have to ask why. If it's going to play out that way, why? Why would you give Allen Saturday against the Oilers? The only reasonable conclusion I could come to, and I hate to say this because Allen's been in the league for 1,000 years, is the Oilers are going to see him like face to face, live and in person, instead of on tape, or what a scout said to them about how Allen plays or played. I don't know, because if it's my call, fine. You want to give Montembeault the game against the Sharks? Good. Then give Montembeault the Saturday game too. Like, what are we doing here? Like, who? I don't want to be harsh or mean-spirited or anything. Like, but at the end of the day, it's still hockey. It's professional sports. Like, who cares if Allen played? I don't care. Allen's not a rookie. Allen is not part of the future. He's barely a part of the present. Like, I'm sure he means a lot to the guys, that want advice from a guy who's been in the NHL for as long as he has, and the veteran presence and all that. I'm sure there's a lot of positives to Allen, but in the spirit of playing and of competition and building towards the future and in the long view, who cares? Do you care if Allen doesn't play again this week or next week? Like, in all honesty, who cares? So I'm going to be disappointed. If I'm back here, we're talking about the Canadiens losing to the Oilers with Jake Allen in goal on Saturday. I'm going to be honest. Why? What was the point of that? Like, what exercise are we trying to do? Like, what was that last night? Was that game 39 for the Canadiens yesterday? And now Sam Montembeault's played like 18 or 19 games. Like, Sam Montembeault has looked good to the point where he earned and deserves the contract that he got, considering the lack of results in Florida, before he became a Canadian. So that's the future. That's where they're going, as the snowplow guy just drives right by me. Just getting plowed in here, everybody. What a disaster this is. Looks like I might be on this podcast longer than I wanted because I'm getting snowed in. Oh, here comes a sidewalk guy now. Here he comes. There he goes. Just getting plowed in here. Just a good time. Always fun. I'm in the car with Star. So, yeah, I don't get the goalie strategy, but I could be wrong. I could be getting ahead of myself. I believe Montembeault's going to play tonight against San Jose. I want him to be there Saturday against the Edmonton Oilers. Before I move to football, let's get to your comments. Lots of comments. Athanasios, tonight feels like it's going to be a stinker for Montreal. You know, that is the old the law of anything is possible as it applies to the Montreal Canadiens. So at that point, I hope you're I don't hope you're I hope you're wrong. I hope it's not a stinker. Oh, this is the best part of the podcast where Athanasios writes a comment so long, it's one of two, that it covers half of my face, which is good because I actually think, you know, with my my blue eyes here, I think this is maybe a good look for me where you don't see like here, you don't see this is a good look for me. In my eyes, I look moderately attractive. Here, not so much. Here, I like it. I think that considering the Canadiens are a 500 team, they're not 500. They're not. They have 8 regulation wins. Look at their record. Like they're multiple games below 500. I hate these like overtime losses, overtime wins. They're not. I don't read the standing. I'm old school, win, loss, tie type thing. Canadiens are a 500 team. We should accept that this is the stage of development the team is now in. Now is the time where they need to learn how to protect leads. I agree. You know, and it's look. I mean, if not for the goaltending, right? If not for the goaltending, boy, I don't know where this team would be. Caden Primo saved their asses yesterday. Sean, it's Nick. You say things as they are and see them. Are Habs going to make meaningful trades leading up to the deadline? Ken Hughes has to make decisions. I don't know. The fan in me, obviously, is ready for moves. The NHL, in general, does not make a lot of trades. There's not a lot of activity. There haven't been many trades. In our lifetimes, we often don't see the name on the marquee change teams with a new sweater. Doesn't, you know, for every John Tavares, there's 100 guys that stay put, Steven Stamkos, etc. The NHL doesn't lend itself to a lot of seismic changes with big-time player names. So with that in mind, I think Ken Hughes stays and sticks to the plan of looking at other teams' high-end picks that, for a variety of reasons, competitively speaking, haven't played themselves out. You know, you think of Kirby Dach, you think of Alex Newhook. Okay, I think they stay to that plan because no one's coming for Brendan Gallagher's contract. No one's coming for Brendan Gallagher's stats or his play. Joel Armia is going to be a guy that, you know, when you're watching TSN on trade day and they're like, okay, 35 minutes to the deadline, or the fax machine was jammed, so 30 minutes after the deadline, Joel Armia is now a member of the New York Rangers. Right? Joel Armia, I believe, will get moved in that type of circumstance. Last second deal, fax machine is jammed. Oh, it just came out, right? Sean Monahan, dailyfaceoff.com. Oh, here comes another snowplow. There he goes. You know, I've always wanted to drive one of those things my entire life. I wanted to drive a city bus, and I'd love to drive a tractor. But I want to drive a city bus where people are ringing the bell. They want to get picked up. They want to get dropped off, so on and so forth. Like a real city bus in real time. So if you know a guy, let me know. But, you know, Sean Monahan on dailyfaceoff.com is the number 2 trade chip. Elias Lindholm of Calgary is number 3. Trevor Zegras of the Anaheim Ducks is number 4, the 22-year-old standout forward. And there's part of me, a strong part of me, I would love to see the Canadiens get in on Trevor Zegras. You know, he had back-to-back 23-goal seasons as a 20 and 21-year-old, 65 points, highlight reel goals, has flash. And, you know, we don't know why Trevor Zegras and Anaheim aren't gelling. But what I do know is, you know, in this country, as we talk about hockey players and hockey teams, like, always believe the manager, never believe the player. shut up, put your head down, be happy you're in the NHL. Sometimes it's okay for kids to be brash, to be confident, and say, you know what, I don't want to play for this team anymore. Get me out of here. So I can't speak to Trevor Zegras' character or what's happened and transpired since the Michigan goal, and everyone loved Trevor Zegras to the point where apparently Anaheim is good if the right offer lands on their lap that they're going to move Trevor Zegras. Sure, I'd love the Canadiens to be in on that. It falls exactly into what Ken Hughes does. High-end prospects picks that other teams spent money and time drafting and getting all the information on and pulled the trigger on. Yeah, for sure. And you know what? And we talked about this over the last couple of days. In order to get, you've got to give. And I have time to hear a conversation involving a transaction for Trevor Zegras with a name like Caden Gooley going the other way. Caden Gooley for Trevor Zegras will not be enough for Anaheim. That will not get it done. But if you're talking about a second-round pick and Caden Gooley for Trevor Zegras, I have a lot of time for that. I would put my hand up and say, let's get that deal done. Let's get that deal done. I've said it a lot. The Canadiens need high-end offensive players. Trevor Zegras, like him or not, at 20 and 21 years of age in the NHL, scored 23 goals back-to-back. And yes, he's having, statistically speaking, a down year on a bum team. But in order to get, you've got to give. And the Canadiens, as we know, have a surplus of defensemen. And maybe, just maybe, Caden Gooley and a pick could get it done if that's what Ken Hughes wants to do. But other than that, Jake Allen's not going to get you much. Even if the Oilers get him on Saturday, after they watch him Saturday night and say, okay, let's go get him. I mean, what are we talking about here? We're not talking, I don't think we're talking about first-round picks here. And Sean Monahan, I don't think we're talking about first-round picks for a guy that maybe will be the third-line center on a Stanley Cup contending team. So to answer your question, yeah, don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. So thanks for the comments. Lots to get to today. Thank you. Athanasios back in the chat. Isn't Gooley supposed to be a cornerstone building block for the future of the defensive core? It is a big give. It is a big give. But as I said, in order to get high end, you've got to give something. And so whether you believe in the future that whether it's guys coming up from the prospect pool or who they have today, you like Jaden Struble? Do you like Arbor Jacki, who has helped turn around Laval's season? So much so that Jean-Francois Houle said that he has high-end first-round offensive talent. So much so, Jean-Francois Houle said he has more offensive skill than Justin Barron, a defenseman of the Canadiens who was chosen in the first round. So your point's well made. Yes, I agree, Gooley is high-end. Gooley has occasionally looked like a cornerstone, a building block, a pillar. Is Caden Gooley a legit number one, number two? I think that's debatable today. I think he can get there. I think that's his potential. But he hasn't shown consistently that he's that guy. So I stand by my point. You want to get high end, you got to give up high end. And maybe that's where we're at. Maybe Ken Hughes sees it differently. I don't know. But what I do know is the Canadiens don't have a surplus of high-end talent. And so if they follow the model of Kirby Dach, Alex Newhook, maybe it's consistent that Trevor Zegras could be a legitimate target for Ken Hughes. So it'll be interesting to see, as I mentioned. The Canadiens are closer to a bottom five position in the standings than they are to a second wild card position in the NHL's Eastern Conference. Habs and Sharks at 7 tonight. The Canadiens have obviously struggled in the second half of back-to-back games, outscored in the second game of a back-to-back 27-14, and they only have one win in 7 tries in the second game of a back-to-back. And here's an opportunity to, I guess, right that ship, right? They got San Jose, losers of 12 in a row, who have given up 50 goals in those 12 losses. So it should be fun to see. I spent a lot more time on the NHL than I originally planned, but because so many of you are watching and so many of you are weighing in on the chats, thank you so much. We went 30 minutes straight I just finished talking for 30 consecutive minutes, which, by the way, also included me having to drive my car in real time because I was getting the tow truck sirens blasting me from the rear because they're snow clearing operation in the surrounding neighborhoods of downtown Montreal, where I am currently located in the aftermath of my show. James in the chat, Canadiens need to teach forwards how they shoot and score. They had many great. The Canadiens did not have. James, if I'm trying to read your text correctly here, they had many great. The Canadiens did not have many great chances in the hockey game yesterday. They scored on their first 2 shots on goal. They had 8 shots after 40 minutes, and they had 2 shots after 20 minutes. That was come on. That was a bad game, everybody. That was not a fun game. Did you watch the entire game, y'all? I mean, I watched it from start to finish. That was not a good game. I'm not expecting a good game tonight against San Jose either. And it's funny too, right? Like, how does this go for San Jose? You have a team that is historically bad at the Bell Center tonight. It's a West Coast team playing on our side of the continent. And do they come to this with the attitude of, well, we're a West Coast team in a super non-competitive season, playing on the East Coast in Montreal? Boys, it's Shea Paré and Weinstein and Gavitos all night tonight. Or are they more professional? Did they go to bed early? Did they have virgin cocktails instead of double spicy margaritas and went to bed early, knowing that it's embarrassing to give up 50 goals in 12 games and lose 12 in a row, and tonight's an opportunity to right the ship? I personally believe they went to Shea Paré and Weinstein and Gavinos because who the hell cares about going to Montreal on some idle night in January and the season going nowhere for a California team? So it'll be interesting to see. Canadiens win by more than a goal and a half. What a historic day in the world of football. First, Nick Saban yesterday afternoon announces his retirement. And by the way, golf clap to Saban for not having a year-long goodbye farewell tour where everyone's got to sing this guy's praises. Man, oh man, I obviously respect the shit out of Nick Saban, but the respect level went up to, I don't know, went 4 more rungs up on the ladder because he didn't have an opportunity to have a year-long goodbye party where he's getting silver sticks and portraits before every college football game that he's coaching up for Alabama. Nah, man, he's done. Let the 7 national championships, the 6 with Alabama, the dozen or so SEC titles that he's had over the course of his Hall of Fame career on the sidelines with the Crimson Tide, and one time with LSU as a national champion, that he goes off into the sunset and let the resume speak for itself. It's a completely different landscape in the world of football at the collegiate level, at that high of a level where, you know, that name, image, and likeness, the NIL deals, where you can have a 5-star recruit say, how much are you going to pay me to play for your college team? And let's say, South Carolina is going to say, we're going to pay you $450,000 in endorsement deals for you to be a member of the South Carolina Gamecocks. And Auburn is going to come up and they're going to say, listen, Auburn, we're going to give you $750,000, and Auburn's going to get that player, you know. That's what's happened in the world of football. And if, Nick Saban, after losing to Michigan in the Rose Bowl, has a couple of good nights rest, looks at the task ahead of him, he's got to hit the road, he's got to recruit, he's got to sit at the kitchen table to talk to mom and dad. And maybe the kids are more obnoxious because they're asking for more money, and it's a world that's foreign to Nick Saban. He said, you know what, man? It's over. I don't relate to these guys as much as I used to. They're motivated for different reasons. And it's a perfect opportunity to go out for Nick Saban. So I tip my cap to the guy for an unbelievable career. There's lots of things that Nick Saban has said in terms of his methodology, how he teaches, how he coaches, that I love, I respect. In particular, I take it and I apply it to my golf when I play on a regular basis. Nick Saban was a master at convincing players over the years to buy into the only play that mattered was the play that you were about to execute on. What happened before, what's going to happen next is irrelevant. You need maximum output, maximum concentration, maximum effort in this singular play. And if you treat it that way, you're going to have success, because when you add up all those individual plays that you just bear down and focus and gave it your all, you're going to win a lot more than you're going to lose. And I think we can take that teaching and apply it to our own lives in so many ways, whether you're playing golf or whether you're raising your children, dealing with your partner at home, driving your car, dealing with coworkers or a boss or anything else. The only thing that matters right now is to me to bang out a great In the Car with Star. How I sounded on TSN 690, what I ate for dinner yesterday has no bearing on what I'm doing. Let's focus, let's bear down, and let's be great right here, right now. And I love that from Nick Saban. And it's an opportunity, right, to apply some of those things and just be better. Always, I sometimes like to work. There's a lot of smart people out there, a hell of a lot smarter than me, and I can learn from some of those people. And with that in mind, the New England Patriots decided to mutually part ways with Bill Belichick. He's 15 wins away from passing Don Shula for all-time wins by a coach in the NFL. 6-3 in Super Bowls, 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 wins, a 266 and 120 regular season coaching record. He went 30-12 in the playoffs. He is the GOAT of GOATs, Bill Belichick, and the end of an era. It's funny, how time just flies. Tom Brady's retired. Bill Belichick is not the coach of the New England Patriots. Nick Saban is retired. Pete Carroll at 70-something years old. It sounded like Pete Carroll was forced out of the Seattle Seahawks, even though he's kind of going to stay there. Mike Vrabel, who was fired by Tennessee because apparently he was too flattering of the New England Patriots when he was honored there earlier this year. And apparently ownership and management in Tennessee didn't like the way that sounded, so they fire Mike Vrabel. I could totally see a world in which Vrabel becomes the next head coach of the New England Patriots. And guess what? I could also see a world in which Bill Belichick, are you ready for this, becomes the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Why? Because Dallas could Dallas. They could fudge this thing up against Green Bay. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a world where this happens? The Dallas Cowboys are 16-0 in their last 16 home games. Obviously 8-0 this year, where their average margin of victory in their 8 home games is a smidge over 21. So in the worst case, Dallas fumbles the bag and they lose to Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. And Jordan Love, for the better part of 2 months, remember the Packers were 3-6 at one point this season, and now they're in the playoffs as the 6th seed. And Jordan Love is a big reason why. This guy's been throwing nothing but touchdowns and managing the ball exceptionally well. So in a world in which Green Bay goes to Dallas and hands the Cowboys their first loss in 17 home games, I could see Mike McCarthy losing his job. And I could see CeeDee Lamb off a career year, Dak Prescott off a career year where he's in an MVP conversation. That Bill Belichick goes to Big D and coaches up the Dallas Cowboys, and then ultimately, as a member of the Cowboys, breaks Don Shula's wins record, all-time wins in the National Football League. So there you go. That's my perspective on what's going on in the world of pro football, college football, in what was a historic last 24 hours. Nick Saban retires. Bill Belichick and the Patriots mutually agree to part ways. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your comments. It's great to be here. It's great to be live. Yes, we do this live. And as I mentioned off the top, a huge shout out to our brand new sponsor, Chiefs Convenience. They open at 6 weekdays. They close at 11. They get to sleep in on the weekends till 8 o'clock, close at 11, Saturdays and Sundays. So, yeah, they're open 7 days a week. Call them, 450-520-0141. They're on Highway 132 in Ganawagi. You can't miss them. And, of course, everything from cheap and affordable groceries. Yes, groceries. Hot coffee served daily, daily specials on the regular. Check them out on Facebook at Chiefs Convenience, or better yet, go see them, Highway 132 in Ganawagi. And as always, shout out to my friends at Little Bear, littlebearonline.com. Your pet food, your pet's toys, accessories, whether you need something to protect the back seat of your car, whether you need better dishes to feed your dog so that your dog has a more comfortable position to eat and drink from, you can trust the experts at Little Bear on St. Catherine in Westmount across from Alexis Neon Plaza, or check them out online because they deliver at littlebearonline.com. Thanks for watching. We'll be back later this week. Another edition of In the Car with Star, you guys. That's a wrap.